Hello, hello. Welcome back to another episode of BloomrPulse. My name is Tabitha Nauser, and today we are going to be talking about sports and eSports. Next to me, I've got three very exciting people to talk about this topic.
Yes.
Joachim, you want to introduce yourself?
Yes, sports. Hello everyone, I'm Joachim Gomez, and I'm a bit too comfortable here on this couch already. Got pillow lah, got this very nice
No,
sofa.
but we want you to be comfortable.
Yeah, what if I fall asleep? Anyway, on my left, the esteemed gentleman who I think we're all here today for. What's your name, sir?
Hey guys, my name is Gerald. Esteem, wow, makes me feel so honored, bro. Appreciate the kind gesture.
You do so much for Singapore, man. You are esteemed here, I think. Come on.
Yeah.
Thank you.
We
thank you,
appreciate
thank
you.
Yeah, so a little bit about myself. I'm a ex-national shuttler or badminton player. So I used to represent Singapore back in the 2011 SEA Games. I think the 2012 Thomas Cup, Asian Junior, World Junior, all the various competition.
And on our left,
Yes.
Hi everyone. Hi, I'm Denise. So I'm just a typical Singaporean who used to be active in sports. I used to do judo and whatnot. Then I got injured. So like now I'm just trying to find out like what's my relationship with sports, trying new sports, and just trying to have an active lifestyle overall.
so for you, Gerald, when did you decide that, hey, you know what, I'm going to call it a day in my shuttling career?
Oh, that's a long story. So when I stopped, I was considering, right, do I really want to stop, or should I maybe try and migrate overseas, join a club, and get sponsored? You know, try to work as a professional athlete through the private route rather than the national route. So I think the consideration was my career. Where do I see myself in the future? Is the environment good? And I think one key challenge I faced was money is tough as a career,
Right.
because badminton is a late sport. So you would peak, let's say at 35, 36. Like, you know, Lin Dan, Li Zhongwei, the ex-world champions, they peak at a late stage of their career. But what people don't see is what happens after, right? Right now in Singapore, I think the environment's not very conducive for professional shuttlers to want to get like a degree. So imagine after 35, 36 when you retire, zero working experience, no degree, yeah, you're left with...
What made you want to represent Singapore or
Yeah.
want to pursue this career path? Because it's
Right.
not a normal, like, I mean, you know, like we were talking about this in other episodes before about how, you know, in Singapore, like, it's kind of like systematic, right? You go to
Yeah,
school,
yeah.
then you do your higher education, find a job, and it's,
Yeah.
you know, very systematic. Like, if you do anything like that Joachim does, for example, like streaming, eSports, and all that kind of stuff, it's very different, very left, right? And so for yourself as well, like, sports as a professional, that's also very unique. So what made you decide you wanted to do that?
Yeah, so it switched along the way as I tried to kind of figure out myself. So I started like training badminton competitively when I was 10, 11, so really young. At that point in time, the real reason was that I liked a girl.
Oh my God!
Wow.
And you know, badminton, it's a direct elimination kind of competition. So if the first round you lose, you're out. You don't come back the next day.
Yeah.
So I wanted to see her more often, and the only way I could was to win more rounds. So I trained really hard. Sunday I was training. I was like, okay, I'm gonna try and get further in the competition so that I can see her more often.
Was she also another competitor?
Yeah, she's a very good badminton player, mind you.
Oh my God!
I feel like digging further. So did you all end up dating? What's the story now, man? What's the tea?
Yeah, I love.
Wait, this was back when you was 10, right? You were 10.
Yeah,
11.
when I was 10, I didn't know what I was doing.
Okay, fine. That one puppy love. It's okay, all grown men and women here now.
But
I
still,
love
she
that.
literally changed your life.
I mean, that was when I first started, like, okay, why do I want to, win? I mean, my dad says, national pride. Who cares about that? I just want to see that girl more often,
Yeah.
But as I grew older, I started to realize, hey, actually, I love competing. I really like the joy of, pushing your limit. You can do things that you've never done, achieve certain kind of speed and victories that you thought, wow, I can't beat this guy because he's so much faster, he's so much stronger. But on that day, you were just on fire. You push yourself to the limit. Even though you're so tired, you just fight every single point, and then you inch up just a little bit. You're like, wow, that's the best feeling.
Satisfying.
Yeah, it's very satisfying.
I feel like 20 or 30 years ago, telling our parents we want to go into the media industry or the sports industry or do music for a living, they'll go, you sure or not? No hope, please don't join the industry.
Yeah.
Was that the same for you?
Yeah, so, okay. my parents were conflicted, right? My dad is a badminton coach, so for him, it's a pride. Like, my son is good, my son is awesome. Whereas my mom is like, just study lah. Just don't train, it's okay. You know, like go and try to be a doctor, try to be, get a degree, business school, go into banking. Those are good jobs. Yeah. So that was
interesting. Okay, so I feel like we've got because I mean, obviously I don't do a sport. You're still practicing on and off again, judo. But what are our views, since we're all from different, we all have different relationships of sports.
Yeah.
What are our views of the Singaporean sports scene right now?
Wow. Look, man, I think our footballers get a lot of flack. I think the FAS needs to do something about themselves as well. Tear it down and build it back up again, but I digress. But I think sports that get a lot of attention here in Singapore are definitely swimming.
Yep.
I think before even Joseph schooling, parents were sending their kids to go and swim, go and represent your school. It was also another way to get your kid into the good schools here in Singapore, if you know what I mean. Yeah. Then other sports like table tennis. And then with the rise of people like Ronald Susilo, I think badminton became an in-sport here in Singapore. And now you got Chia Min and Loh Ken Yew, who's flying the flag high in Singapore, right?
Yeah.
So in a way, I'm supporting our athletes. I feel it's a way of giving back for what I do in the media spotlight. But if I had a chance to pursue footballing or even sprinting, I think I would have,
Really?
I would have, even though my parents say don't do it, but I love sprinting so much. And I remember this situation, over at Bishan Stadium one day back in 2003. I was 15. The coach of sports school was there for the sprinting training, right? Yeah. He saw me sprint. And he goes hey boy, how old are you? 15. Oh, you're too old.
Wow.
My heart just cracked. I think I would have gotten scouted if I was maybe 12 or 13 back then.
Wow.
Yeah. So that's I'm pretty sure in an alternate dimension, there's a sprinter Joachim.
Somewhere out there,
Somewhere there. Yeah.
Doing Singapore proud.
Yourself, Joe, what were your thoughts on the sports industry and the sports support back in Singapore then and then now?
No.
I think it's gotten better. Ever since companies are more receptive, I feel like the big one was Joseph schooling, right? He really pushed the boundaries, and now big companies are willing to help local athletes a lot more. Now Grab even helps Loh Ken Yew.
Yeah,
there's a very high profile endorsement type of deal. Long time ago, I think it was tougher in terms of trying to find funding to get by, because it really depends on the nature of the sport. Some sports pay a lot better than others. In my case, badminton wasn't one that really pays you like a superstar, right?
Yeah.
So you're able to get by, but then it's tough. So a lot of athletes also do kind of coach on the weekends to try and make ends meet, because we need to pay for our equipment, we need to pay for our
you
daily
need some sort
expenses.
of side hustle or side job, right?
Yeah.
Does that distract? I mean, I can imagine it must.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
I mean, I was going to say, people have this misconception that, I'm representing Singapore in this sport. That means I'm well taken care of. I got my sports sponsors, I got my money sponsors. No, man. Some of these athletes, I'm pretty sure, like Gerald, and even the ones that you see here in Singapore, they pay for their own training. They pay everything from their own pocket. And the prize money they win, is do you even break even, or do you get even profits from that?
Okay, so definitely no. For me, back then when I trained, because my training is at least, there's two stages. Let's talk about national team. I think that's the end state, right? So national team training starts around 7:30, 8:30 to about 12:30. Then in the afternoon, about 3:30 to 6:30. And in terms of equipment, I think we were given 2 or 3 pairs of shoes. I think 3 rackets a year. So we run through one racket in about 2 months. So that's another 500-600 a year.
Okay, but then isn't that a question for can Singapore be doing better? Shouldn't we be supporting our athletes a lot better?
Yeah.
Because I feel like in other countries, in America, for example, if you're an American football player, it starts from the schools.
Right.
The way that they look at these kids, they're like gods, right? They're like, oh my God, this guy's going to be the next NFL player. We need to invest and make sure that he's got all of the tools that he can to be the best version of himself that he can be, and then become an extreme athlete, right?
It's either that mentality, or on the other end of the spectrum is, are you sure you want me to invest that much money on this team? Will they even make it? Will they even produce results? I don't want to be seen sponsoring $1 million to this team, but they can't even make it to the quarterfinals. I think some businesses have that kind of mentality. So I understand where they're coming from, but You know, as an athlete, like, let's just say, for example, a random brand wants to sponsor Gerald for his badminton journey. I'm sure a 15-year-old Gerald will be like, wow, really? Okay. And then would you feel more motivated to perform better then?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, I would. It really helps when you can really focus on your competition, like, you know, the flight, and let's say you want to peak for a big game, right?
Yeah.
Then you have 4 competition. Imagine you're stressing about, okay, I need to make like $10,000, or, you know, how much money so that I can afford the nutrition, the food,
Yeah.
the flight, whatnot, in order to be able to compete effectively.
Yeah.
You know what? I actually heard about these incentives. So there was this South Korean esports player called Faker who actually won the Asian Games, and then he was actually exempted from army, from NS. So like a lot of the K-pop idol fan groups, they started stepping out and they were like, hey, how can you do that? My BTS oppas are still like going to the
Oh my
army and
God.
whatnot. Like, what do y'all do? Yeah.
Oh
I
my
think
goodness.
Son Heung-min from Tottenham Hotspur almost got the same treatment, or did he get the same treatment? Yeah, there you go. I think he
Oh, he
played
did,
so
is
well.
it?
He was an outstanding player for Tottenham Hotspur in
Yeah.
South Korea, the World Cup, right? That he was exempted from national service. He got exempted, but he volunteered for national service because I'm pretty sure his mentality was, I think I better serve it. Later,
Otherwise,
the
people
people,
are gonna say stuff about me.
yeah,
But it's
yeah.
still a great incentive at the end of the day. I mean, it's a
Yeah.
great way to acknowledge them, right? Just take your mind off all these things and just focus on doing your thing, your esports, sports, whatever your passion is.
Interesting. Yeah, I think there's a lot to say about like the support that athletes like need to receive, and I mean I feel the same way about music as well.
Yeah.
You know, there needs to be a better system in place. But let's talk a bit about esports, and maybe Joachim, you can like help us out here a little bit because you do like some streaming.
Oh no.
And
Okay, disclaimer. I'm in no way representing the esports community. I just stream on Twitch and I see where I go
Yeah.
with it, right? But having had experience with Mobile Legends World Series, the M Series, and of course Olympics Esports Week that happened here in Singapore in the month of June,
Yeah.
it's really rising, man.
Yeah.
Like I think the craze that games like League of Legends, Mobile Legends, Dota 2, for example, it's really worldwide. And it's not really like a physically demanding sport, but the mental strength it takes to really outthink your opponent, the clicking, the syncing of your hands and everything, it's really a lot. You might not agree with me.
So here's
Miss
what
Tabitha
I'm
Nazar.
gonna ask. Here's my next question.
Yeah.
Can esports athletes be considered athletes?
Okay.
Like, what do we think about this?
Chess is an Olympic sport.
Okay.
That's my point. I'm sure esports can be considered the same level as an athlete because, yeah, you put your body through it, but then what about your mental awareness, your mental drainage?
That's a fair point.
Your
That's a
thoughts,
fair
Gerald?
point.
Your thoughts?
Like for me, I feel that, you know, we play in the C games, they play computer games, we're all gamers. Call us gamers, call them athletes.
Yeah.
Doesn't really matter. Yeah,
Yeah,
it
fair.
doesn't.
I get it
Whatever.
though, because back when I was in uni, I had a lecturer whose daughter really wanted to play like some esport game or like some FIFA game on her PS5, PS4 or something.
Yeah.
And then the mother didn't want to allow her to do it because she was going through her PSLE exam. When the dad allowed her to do it, right, the mother got very angry. And then after that, he was like, oh, you should read about it. Esports is a new future. It's like a really great, like a great career for our daughter to pursue.
Yeah.
And then he got chased out and he was sleeping on the sofa for like a week or something.
Ayo.
Oh no.
my
Yeah, it's
God.
a lot. I think in Asian societies especially,
Yeah.
like esports may not be as recognized as a career for a lot of parents. They might feel like it's not something that actually has a future lah.
Okay, maybe we can talk a little bit about like the layman, like the average person that just enjoys watching sports, right? Like, how would you say they're being exposed to like what you're like? So, for example, back in the day when you were competing, what were your avenues that you could reach out to these people and have them know what you were doing versus now?
As an athlete, my focus was really, I just want to, you know, try and compete, do the best that I can. I wasn't really thinking of, I want to reach out to my fans, I want to communicate with my fans. So I guess that was lacking. But now I think athletes are becoming more savvy. Like, if I want to get more endorsement, be more sponsorship friendly, right? I need to have a community. So I think like my friends, Jiamin, they have like very big presence on like Instagram.
Because I was just thinking, like, for example, like I enjoy watching football, right? But I'm not like, I wouldn't say I know the ins and outs of like Singapore football. Like, I don't know like when their schedule is and things like that, right? So as somebody that's just an average viewer, I only will know about it if I see advertisements about it.
Right.
Or if I see it being broadcast somewhere, I'm like, oh, okay, that's going on that time. Maybe I'll make the effort to go and watch it.
Yeah.
But
Right.
otherwise, I feel like I don't see enough. And I don't know if that's just me.
I hate to say this as a Singaporean. Look, I love our footballers. I know some of them personally, but I'm pretty sure 90% of Singapore football fans will be able to name when the next English Premier League game is as compared to the S League game.
Yeah,
Or
it's
sorry,
true.
the SPL game, or like when is Team Singapore competing in the Asian games and stuff like that. This is my personal view. Like, you want a reason to support them aside from just flying the flag high.
Yeah, yeah.
And this is just speaking from a footballing context, but seeing how our national team has been performing the last few years, right? We feel that as a fan, I think there's a lot that needs to go on internally. And
Okay.
Oh no.
nothing has been happening yet. I don't know. But yeah, that's my point of view. But I do follow like FAS on social media to just keep up with what they're up to, watch the highlights videos, and I think
Yeah.
very soon they'll take on Guam for the Asian Cup qualifiers very soon. So yeah, maybe I might just drop by the stadium and support them.
Nice, yeah.
Wow, that's a true fan.
No, for sure. I mean, you want to see our boys and our women do well, but yeah, let's just hope results are better as compared to
Yeah.
what it was the last few weeks.
It's like your Asian dad. Go team, you must win the medal for us. You know?
Yeah.
Why are you not winning?
Not win the medal lah, but like don't get trashed 7-0 by our
Oh, no.
neighbours.
Oh no!
That was quite sad. That was heartbreaking to watch, man. As a
Yeah.
Singaporean footballing fan.
You just brought up a point. You said, you want to support your male athletes, but also female athletes. And that's also another discussion entirely. The gender equality or gender gap within sports and esports when it comes to female athletes. Do you feel like female athletes get enough recognition here in Singapore or anywhere for that matter? Because you practice judo.
Yeah.
Would you say at the time when you were doing that, there were a lot of like female counterparts?
For a sport like judo, a lot of my friends, they did participate in like the ASEAN Games and like SEA Games and whatnot. But the truth is, a lot of the players are mainly guys. Even like because back when I was in judo, I was also studying. So there were a lot of people who come back and say like, there will be girls who come by the booth like when we are promoting judo sign-ups, and then they will be like, oh, but I'm so small size, can I do it? You know, there's still this. I mean, there are physical differences that translates to how well you perform in the sport, right?
Yeah.
So naturally, like, it's something that people shun away from. But when you have like black belt judo players who are females as well, very rare. But they do really, really well. They can literally like trash all the guys in the team. I don't know if it's something more equal like badminton. Would it be easier? Like, do they get more recognition?
I think both genders definitely get recognition for sure, but I think because when it comes to physical sports, right?
Yeah.
Naturally, because the way guys are built, you know, we're going to be faster. Our genetics are advantageous in that sense. So I would think that, you know, fastest man alive versus faster woman alive. You see like headline or someone under 10 seconds for 100 meters. It's going to stand out a little bit more based on the fact that it's actually the fastest human timing.
Fair enough. Yep,
Yeah,
yep, yep.
so otherwise, I would think that actually it's quite balanced and both genders are getting more recognition now compared to before.
I don't think I've ever felt this gender thing here in Singapore. I think a long time ago, people like Jocelyn Yeo, for example, you know, making all the headlines with the most B-medaled SEA Games athlete of Singapore, if I'm not wrong. And then in this generation, you got the Kwa siblings, you got Maximilian, you got Joseph Schooling. And then for the ladies, you have, Chia Min, of course. You got Shanti Pereira, Michelle Sung.
Silver.
Yeah, so many things are happening now in the Singapore sporting scene. And for esports, having worked with the Olympics esports week when it was in June earlier this year, it was interesting where a 14-year-old Singaporean girl whose name escapes me right now, she won the competition in
Right.
Taekwondo. Her finalist was a 15-year-old boy.
Oh, wow.
They were not facing against each other, but they were in the virtual world fighting against each other.
Oh.
So they were doing the
Interesting.
Taekwondo moves and all that,
Yeah.
but they were doing it to the air, but in the virtual world, they're fighting with each other. So you will never see that in real life where a 15-year-old boy takes on a 14-year-old girl and they go all out, right? But this was actually fun and interesting to watch. So I think in terms of the e-sporting world, it has opened up a whole new door for mixed gender competitions and stuff like that.
Yeah, that's
That is very
amazing.
interesting because I I never even thought that that could be a possibility.
Mhm.
And now that you just said that, I'm like, oh my gosh, like literally there could be so many more things that we could do, and how much more entertaining would that be as well? Do you feel like there are initiatives in place now that you've kind of taken a step back from sports as a career? Do you feel like there are good initiatives in place for young, upcoming athletes, stuff that can help them progress faster or better in that sense?
Actually, for me, right, I do feel that like in Singapore, there's like two schools of people. So there are some people who are like, oh, I really like to compete in sports. Like it just fuels your competitive spirit. And then there's also the type who's like, oh, I'm tired, I'm lazy, I don't really want to move, I just want to lay down every day. So, but I think like the common thing in Singapore that like a lot of us in Singapore, we don't really look at sport as like a fun activity, just to enjoy it. And that's the thing that's sort of missing in like getting people to participate in sports. Like you are just allowed to, you don't need to be the best at it. You don't need to like do something very extreme for it. Like last weekend, I just picked up like a skateboard and then just went skateboarding with my boyfriend. So it's just to enjoy the fun of it. Just have a good time.
Can I add a third pool of people?
Yeah.
Parents force.
Oh my god. That's
Go take swimming lessons.
No, you know why? As I mentioned earlier,
Yeah.
like they are forced to learn like swimming, table tennis, or even badminton or whatsoever
It is so true.
as a way to go into a good primary school in Singapore.
Yeah.
Like
Okay.
what credit can you bring my primary school or secondary school so they can use it as a tool?
Yes.
Yeah.
Right, okay.
I learned that recently, so yes, I'm quite happy about it.
Yeah,
But that's really funny because then it doesn't, most of the time, I would say, it doesn't materialize into a substantial career. Because then they'll be like, well, after that, become a doctor, become a lawyer, do whatever.
Which goes back to his
Yeah.
initial career choices.
Yeah.
Which is very true. Like in sports school, when I think we have a team of like 40, right?
Yeah.
So then we would chat because it's a boarding school. We would stay and I say, hey, why you come to badminton? Why not do other stuff? And like a lot of my friends would tell me they actually do like 5, 6 things, 7 things, like piano, swimming, badminton. Somehow badminton is what they're good at.
Yeah.
That's why they're a badminton team in sports school.
That's insane. I can't imagine having to like do 5 or 6 different things to figure out like what is the one thing you're good at, like really, really good at.
But
Yeah.
you never know. You never try, you never know,
Yeah,
right?
that's true.
So like you're a jack of all trades, but can you be the master of one?
Yeah. I think the Singapore Sports School, like when it opened, when was this? This was back in like 2004.
2004, yes.
right?
Yeah.
You're not old. It's okay. It's okay.
I can't join now.
Yeah, no, it's okay. I feel like that, at least for me, was like a turning point where I was like, oh my gosh, there is an avenue now where if I'm really interested in something, like for example for you for sprinting or
Yeah.
like swimming or tennis or whatever it may be, like that was a very clear route that you could take, right? Without having to try and like figure it out, because I'm pretty sure you must have like in the beginning like had to like try and figure it out yourself.
Yeah,
Do you feel like there should be more sports schools?
for sure.
Right, because I feel like that would be a good thing that we could
Yeah.
do to support as well. Like I think there needs to be more. My issue is there's never enough support.
Yeah.
Aside from your own family and like maybe a couple of investors here and there, there needs to be support from the ground level. And most of the time I think that's schools. I think that's government initiatives.
I'm going to be fair to people like who run Sports.SG or Active.SG, right? Sometimes on the weekends over at the Kallang Stadium area, the National Stadium, they do have fringe events where they organize like, exposure events for badminton, even like sports like climbing, sailing and all that. But when I go for a jog there, very little people show up.
Yeah.
So it's whether people
Why do you
know
think that
about
is?
it,
Yeah,
know
what-
about it, or they just take it for granted. Oh, okay, yeah, they find support, but I'm not free. I don't want to go. I cannot make it. You know that kind of thing. It's not that they are not doing anything about it.
Yeah.
They are, but
Yeah.
the take-up rate for it, I don't know.
Is that a cultural thing then?
Yeah.
Yeah.
The truth is, it has a bad rap, this kind of community events. I feel like a lot of people think it's the aunties and uncles going for it.
Mm-hmm.
Oh my god.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Oh
So
my goodness.
I did participate for the Youth Olympic Games that was held in
Yeah.
Singapore.
Yeah,
So they had to drum it up. Had Youth Olympic Game Festival. So badminton is super popular in Singapore. Like
Yeah.
you try to book any badminton courts, it's like gone within half a second,
Yeah.
like for the weekend, day to night. So I participated in the carnival, the festival they had. The number of participants and line judge and umpires for the event was less than the regular weekend. Like you just let people, the public play. It was crowded, but they held a festival. It was empty because finals is just 2 players, right?
Yeah.
Then it was just empty.
So if it is a cultural thing, what needs to be changed or what can be helped to take sports more seriously?
Singapore pools.
Why?
Yeah. So okay, when I go to Indonesia, right? So Indonesia has a thriving badminton community. They have a lot of circuit tournaments. They even have player trading, like small club. Can I buy your player for 1 year? You represent my club. I pay the player a lot. The club takes a cut. Singapore, national team, Kenya is in the national team. Who's going to buy Kenya to a small club in Singapore? You would never hear of such thing, right? So in Indonesia, apparently that's a big thing. And when you go to the badminton hall, people smoking by the back, crowded. There's literally no place to even stand. And people are like, oh, I bet this, I bet that. And that's what I hear.
Oh, okay. So not Singapore Pools as a sponsor, but more of a betting partner.
Right, do you agree?
But then the kind of crowd you attract are the people who go and gamble. Not
But they will bring the kids along. They will bring the youths along. So, and fans who watch, right?
Yeah.
Fans who admire Kenyu, they will hear about it because all the adults are talking about it all day and night. Sure, the adults are interested in the numbers, but the kids, who are athletes themselves, they would love to watch the games.
That's a very interesting viewpoint, I have to say.
It's a good point because look at this. Every 4 years, the World Cup happens in the world of football, right?
Yes.
Why is viewership so high? Because people are betting on who wins. They always bet on the underdog. Like
knew
Saudi Arabia beating Argentina. Who would have thought, right? Hey.
Oh my gosh. Okay, we just want to say if you are going to be gambling, make sure you practice safe gambling. But yeah, so anyway.
The disclaimer.
Yeah, disclaimer. We've got disclaimers on this show.
Open a can of worms.
That's so interesting. Do you feel like in esports that would be the same as well?
I'm pretty sure like your sites that aren't Singapore Pools offer
for sure.
offerings for like which esports team will win this and that and all that, but I wouldn't dare because you never know in the world of tech and all that. But I think with esports there's a higher interest. I mean, forgive me, mainstream sports, but you go to a 12-year-old or 13-year-old here in Singapore and say, want to play League? Want to do MOBA? Yes, I want to. They'll take their phone and they'll play it because we live now in the digital age. Like, even at 35, I'm playing Mobile Legends and I love playing with it. And sometimes when I go on TikTok lives, the person I'm paired up with could be an 11-year-old kid on his phone. It has happened. And I was shocked. Because when I got on the voice chat, I was like, what? Hello?
It's like a tiny little kid chatting.
Yeah.
But I guess also we spoke about this a little bit earlier on about how like traditional sports mainly broadcasted through traditional media, whereas with like gaming and things like that, it's on social media. It's online, so it's maybe a little bit more accessible. Could that be a reason why it is gaining in popularity?
In terms of popularity, it would make sense, right? That because gamers are, the whole structure of how games are designed is to be addictive, right? So it's very engaging to watch. Whereas sports, I don't think like every point, like let's say badminton, the starting few rallies are not going to be so exciting until the build up, goal, then it gets very, very exciting, right? Yeah. So maybe just the way it's structured could play a more significant role to getting engagement, apart from just the fact that it's very on the cloud or on the web.
I think also how it can be better presented. Like watching tennis, watching the Premier League, watching even one championship. The way they build a story around a fight and around like the athlete, it makes me invested. It gives me someone to root for. So maybe like for other sports that are lesser, that have less following here in Singapore, maybe they could try exploring the same way, but it's very tough. It's not that they don't broadcast it. Like for Asian games or even simple badminton games that we broadcast here in Singapore, right? They do go on TikTok Live. They do go on like Me Watch, for example. It's whether the take-up rate is there. It's there for you to watch, but it's whether you want to watch it or not.
Wow. Okay, that's a lot to unpack.
Poor Tabby. She's like, wow, I didn't know about it this way.
No, it's because I feel like I'm learning about it because obviously I'm not as, I've never had a career in sport before, as active in streaming as you are. So like this is all new to me. So I'm learning as like just an average viewer, as just a layman, what can I do to help this?
To bring it into your world, right?
Yeah.
Imagine this. We say support local.
Yeah.
All right. And like all these fringe activities for badminton and all that at the Kallang Stadium, right? Oh, okay. Tomorrow at the Esplanade, Tabitha Nauza live. What's the take-up rate going to be? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
That's a concern for all of us as a musician,
True.
as a sports person.
True, 100%. Yeah. Oh, okay.
Now she gets it.
Now I get it. I feel like, there's a lot that we've spoken about that could be taken as slightly negative,
Of course, yeah.
right? What are the positives? Or maybe, share with our viewers and then they can do something as well about it.
Yeah, so despite all odds, we still won a silver for the running 100-meter sprint for women, right? Which was amazing. Yeah, so despite all odds, the lack of money, the lack of a lot of support, a tough training environment, culturally, it's against the norm to be a professional athlete. And despite all that, we, the country of 100+ different countries, could win as top, 1, 2, or 3. That's just simply amazing, right? So small population.
Coming from such a small country as well.
It's like against all odds.
That is actually amazing. I think for me, my biggest takeaway from this whole thing is that I maybe need to do a bit more, like involve myself a little bit more. Because I didn't really know that there were like fringe like activities like that and like festivals that were put together. So maybe I need to like reach out and like find out more about what's going on in the community and how we can support. Like that's my biggest takeaway from this whole thing.
I think for me, I would love to see big organizations here in Singapore supporting our athletes. Like you can plant trees, you can organize runs, you can do so many things. What about sponsoring some of our athletes? Not just the winners, like the faces, but sponsoring the entire team. Like have them wear your logo, but give them the support that they need to try at least fly the flag high. It doesn't matter if they win medals, but I feel like if they do their personal best and they get a new timing or even set a new national record, I think that's a win on its own already. So hopefully with more support financially, there could be better results here in Singapore. And by the way, if I'm going to play football, please make sure you maintain the pitches well. So many injuries happening there already. Please support the pitch as well.
Oh my gosh.
Denise?
I think like on a more micro perspective, perhaps it's now that like with social media, fitness has been so easy and accessible for everyone. Like there's like the Pilates girly trend, or like if you just want to do a free workout, you can go on YouTube and find it. Yeah, there's so many people. There's so many workout classes available online, and then like there's even like trends like the shy girl workouts where you're in the gym, you want to use the weights, you don't know how to use the equipment. Like how can you cater the equipment around you so that you can like craft your own workout that you're comfortable with. So it's really like there's so many things out there for everyone. It's just up to you to find it and then see if you want to go and give it a go.
So on an individual level, right, I think if I were to think back how now I try to help like my friends, is that whenever I see them posting or the National Association, so typically unfortunately, our National Association do post a lot. FAS, for badminton, it's called the Singapore Badminton Association. SBA, they do post of such stuff. So if you want to support local sports, what you can do is you just hop onto the page, like, share, subscribe. But it's true. When they get more eyeballs, right? The algorithm first will see and share it to more people. And companies do watch, right? What's the point in sponsoring 50K, 100K for 10 views? Yeah, but if everyone do our part, we all have 100 friends, right? They'll make a big impact. So just simple act of just sharing their posts, sharing their achievement, like we won silver. Hey, that's a big news. We can share that. That helps athletes a lot.
Not to sound disrespectful, but yes, we've spoken about having support for the athletes, but the athletes must do well and train as well. Be committed to it. Don't take it for granted. Don't just sit down, shake leg. Oh, I got money already, I can relax, Because sometimes complacency can kill your sporting mentality. I'm sure you can relate, Jared.
Yeah.
I hope someday Singaporean athletes will be like, oh, I got money, I can shake legs up, but there's still a long way to go from there.
Long
way to go.
A long way to go. Joel, do you have any other advice that you would give to somebody that's like looking for a sporting career or like looking to get into sports professionally?
When I left the team and consider other career options, I initially had a very gloomy perspective, like kind of like how you said, right? Like, oh, the career is tough, the future is tough. Imagine at 35 years old after you retire, what can you do? Oh, I can smash a shuttlecock really well, hire me, So I have no degree, I have no working experience.
Put that on my resume.
Yeah. But it sounds very gloomy. But the fact is, being able to represent Singapore, in the middle of 10,000 raving fans who support you, not knowing you, right? That kind of experience, to be able to handle that kind of intense pressure, right? Winning the gold medal and you're just short of that 1 or 2 points or the crucial points you need to play, having that discipline, that spirit, that will carry on. Carry that with you for life. So a lot of youths are wondering, like, hey, should I, commit? I'm not sure what I want. Can I even make a career out of it? I used to say, oh, this is the financials, this is the stats. It sounds very gloomy, but now that I'm a little bit older, I start to think that, hey, maybe money aside, right? It's an experience of a lifetime. How much would you pay to be able to represent Singapore in the world and be one of the best? How much would you pay to, have an environment that really instills rock solid discipline, perseverance, and the wit of trying to outmaneuver in the highest level of your sport. So those experiences are worth, I don't know, you can't put a price tag on that, right?
You actually can't put a price tag on that, yeah.
To youths out there who are thinking, it's always possible to work hard or commit to sports and then find alternatives afterwards. The world is not as tough as it seems. There's always opportunities that you can find in Singapore. So don't be afraid to, commit. But of course, if you're 15 years old and you're thinking of sprinting, might be a bit,
too old.
Wow.
You might be old.
The shade.
Sorry, bro.
It happened, man. It happened.
Keeper is broken.
I know. That's my only what if in life now. I've got two things, either an accountant or a sprinter.
Accountant?
Yeah, I love accounting.
Yeah.
What? That's
That's my
random.
what if. So in another universe, there's a sprinter Joakim, there's an accountant Joakim.
Okay, this was a great discussion. Thank you guys so much for sitting down and like chatting. I hope you guys took something valuable away from that. Thank you so much for joining us. This is for another episode of BloomrPulse. Make sure you like, comment, and subscribe, and we will see you on another episode. Bye.
Woohoo! Yay! Bye-bye.